So we can just
yeah,
let's roll.
I guess let's just roll with the
all right.
what people are working on, I guess,
Well,
right?
why don't we start with that? And for our guests from the East Coast, we should introduce ourselves, like, you know, and maybe what we build. What do you think? Or should we just do the show and tell them up for it?
I don't mind doing little introductions. That's all right. I mean, it's kind of neat. There's a lot of folks we have.
All right, let's do that. So Joe and Rod already introduced themselves, and why don't you guys just kind of chime in and introduce yourselves? I'll start. I'm Harvey Lowe. I'm the president. Well, like, I guess I'm voluntold to do this for how many years I've even lost track of IPMS Toronto, and I build mostly anything military. I'm dabbling in cars, but the only way to keep my collection sane is I only build cars where the drivers died in them. So go figure. I don't know. F1 cars where the drivers died in them, and I got about 12 of them. So everything else is military, and I did some sci-fi for some clients, but I know nothing about sci-fi. And I want to do Gundam for Matt. I want to do a Gundam. I swear I'll do one.
Do it. Just do it.
I will.
You don't
All
need
right, who wants to go next?
I'll go. I'm Dave Chang saying I've modeling for about, like most of the other guys, I modeled up into my teens, and then I stopped, and then I came back to it a number of years afterwards, and I've kind of waned a little bit, gone back and forth, but I'm still doing it, and build anything Canadian related military. So anything from vehicles through to ships to aircraft, mainly aircraft, but lately I've been doing a lot of military vehicles, or just trying to focus on the military vehicles and that type of stuff. Scale is mostly the one true scale, the 72nd, right? You know, but I have dabbled in 35th scale and such. So that's what I'm about.
I'm Sugain. I built mainly 48 scale aircraft. It's my first love, and I've been doing it for a while. But I'm the kind of guy who likes to dabble in different disciplines. So, you know, I do auto racing, cars as well, just because it's a totally different world. I've gotten into armor just so that I could learn how to weather my aircraft better. So yeah, and you know, lately I've been getting into a lot of figure painting, just to get better with my brush work, and I find that I'm, you know, bringing out the brush, just doing cockpits now, because I'm a lot more confident with it. So yeah, so I just like dabble in a lot of different things, and I think it's kind of by osmosis, it's kind of got my overall modeling skills better.
Great.
Paul, I build basically anything that comes in a box. Pretty much.
We've noticed that, Paul.
He's an IKEA lover.
Yeah. Well, maybe that too. Yeah, I build anything. I tend to do a lot of small scale armor, but planes, cars, tanks. I got a couple of ship models I've never built, but I got a wide variety of stuff.
Great, Paul.
All right, I'll go. I'm Stuart. Mainly what I build is armor of all types, aircraft, ships, mostly armor, but I'll do anything that's anything related to the military, regardless of what time frame or what type of vehicle or plane, like I said, a vehicle, plane, or whatever it is. So that's basically what I do.
Great, Stuart.
I'll jump in. I'm Glenn from IPMS Ottawa. Got back to it in probably 05 after, you know, life gets in the way. I'll build anything and anything and everything in any scale, as long as I think it's cool, which is a good thing because there's lots out there, and it's a bad thing because, damn, I'll get started on one thing and then jump to another like a freaking squirrel. But I see a lot of names and faces here that I recognize, and I missed a lot of you folk. Some others that I haven't had the good fortune to meet in person yet. Hopefully sometime soon.
Great.
I'll go next then. I'm Jonathan. Ancient Mariner is one of my names. And obviously I build ships, but I build everything from 700 to 72nd for museums or RC guys. I have a company that produces Canadian hulls. Although this summer I had to break down and build something in 48 scale, I did 4 Kingston class hulls for my buddy in Montreal. And that was exciting. We drove him to the edge of Quebec at a St. Hubert's. He brought the smoked meat sandwiches. We ate on a picnic table. And then we split up and went our different ways.
Okay, Matt, and a similar story to a lot of folks here. Quit a ways back before university, got back into it in 2014. I build and build and build and never finish anything. I think right now I'm at 31 open projects and 2 finished, but some are really close, I swear, really, really close. And majority of that is Japanese robots like Gundam and so on. But I have a massive, stupid backlog, like many of us. And there's lots of armor, some planes, a few cars. There's no ships. I still have to get myself a ship one of these days.
Just do it.
Yeah. I saw what there was this, oh God, I can't even remember, but it's this show revealing the oceans or under the oceans. Anyway, there's on the Discovery Channel. And they were showing the some World War I wrecks that they were, and I thought it would be really cool to get to make the wreck, and then above it the actual ship, and sort of have this little diorama. So,
oh, I thought you were talking
there
about
it is.
The curse of Oak
Yeah.
Island.
Yeah. Basically, my curse is starting a regular normal project and then deciding that it has to be modified, rebuilt, added to, made a diorama, and that's why I never finished. So.
Yeah, I thought I saw you in the club meetings.
Yeah.
I'm Vince. I'm one of the old guys. Started back in the day with Aurora figure kits. That's how old I am. Indulged in the hobby, then got sidetracked by other things. One of my passions is trains, which takes a lot of attention and mind share. I always see the hobby as an opportunity to learn not only about what it is you're working on, but the other things that are allied or surrounding it. So diversions into photography, and Harvey will attest to the fact that I've photographed a fair bit of his work, got into micro machining, spent years going into, I've got my own lathe mill set up, and I've written a number of articles for that field. Most recently, getting into 3D printing, learning Fusion 360, which is a CAD software, and I've done a fair bit of 3D printing as well as 2D die cutting with like a Cricut style cutter. Again, Harvey asked me to help out there, and I was more than happy to help out. In terms of subject areas, like most, I think modelers generally, we have very open minds and we're very interested in many things. If I were to categorize it, if it's Italian from World War, even before World War I, like during the resurgence, World War I subjects, World War II subjects, modern subjects. If it flies, if it's on the ground or on the water, under the water, that's sort of an area of interest. And then there's the railroading interest in terms of vehicles, but I don't restrict. I mean, Gundam stuff is it's all interesting to me. And there's a gentleman here who runs the Little Dollhouse company. I can't remember his name.
Oh, there's John.
John. If you're in Toronto, if you get to the Little Dollhouse company, seeing what people are able to do in terms of miniature furniture, miniature rooms, the stuff is incredibly skillful. And to me, if it's skill, if it's done with passion, if it's done with heart, how can you say no to a subject matter? It should just speak to you in that way. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox.
Who wants to introduce next?
I'll go, Harvey.
Hey, Chris.
Chris.
How are you? When are you back?
Thanks, man.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, okay. I'm Christopher. I've been in the club since 1993. I built a 48 scale World War II. I've got some cars in the pipeline, but they're partially begun. I'll say that, but I'll get to them. There's a little more time now with the COVID, but
I like that.
I like the
Partially
48 scale World
begun.
War II stuff and the modern day jets. 48 scale. I've done some 72nd as well.
That's cool, Chris. Thanks. Anybody wants to go?
I'll go next then. Eric Mcdougall. I build primarily 48 scale jets, mostly Cold War around that era. Opposite of Matt, I try to keep myself down. I work on one in, one out kind of assembly line format. I haven't been doing much this summer, but starting to get back into it now. The weather's getting cooler on the weekends, and I can't be kind of outside all the time. So yeah, starting to get back into it. I also run the website, Facebook page, Twitter, or yeah, our Flickr account, all that stuff. So that's me.
I'll go next, I guess. I'm David. I'm actually a member of IPMS London, and I live in Sarnia, Ontario. So I drive an hour down to the meetings, which I guess for you guys, driving an hour to meetings is probably nothing down in Toronto.
It's about 3 blocks, David, in Toronto.
Yeah, right. So I'm lucky I get to drive at 120 kilometers an hour for an hour, so it's not bad. So anyways, I build pretty much anything. I do a lot of science fiction. I love real space stuff. I've recently done a couple of cars, and I really love doing the cars for the finishes and for, you know, the colorful paint schemes and that. And I do like auto racing, Formula One, Le Mans, rally racing, that kind of stuff. I build aircraft as well. One thing I don't really build is armor. I've tried to build a few armor kits, and I can't seem to get past sort of halfway through the assembly stage. It just doesn't hold my interest. So that's just me. I used to run a resin garage kit company called Blap Models. I did a lot of casting for places like Starship Modeler and Fantastic Plastic Models. And I used to do quite a bit of model railroad stuff as well for a few places. BC, I did stuff for him. I like to scratch build as well. You know, I dabble here and there. And also with my business, I, you know, did a whole bunch of patterns for garage kit companies as well as the castings for them. And 3D printing is a recent thing for me, just as a hobby. We've got like a bunch of 3D printers at work now. I think we're now up to 13 3D printers at work, a bunch of FDMs and a few of the new Anycubic photon resins. And I think we're going to get a big Piopoly pretty soon, so I can print really big stuff in resin. So that's kind of fun because there's lots of files online. I'm playing around on Inventor at work. I'm getting some free training through work, so that's nice. So I'll be able to create my own models as well. So that's it for me.
David, what was the name of your company again?
It's called Blap Models, BLAP Models.
Okay.
I still have a website. I have a Facebook page that I haven't really updated in probably a year now. And I also have a Facebook page called the Blaposphere, I call it. And that was a nickname my shop got from a friend of mine. And I post personal projects on the Blaposphere page. So if you go to blapmodels.com, you can find my Facebook page. And from there, you can find my other Facebook page as well.
Harvey, did I see you put your hand up? Do you want to introduce yourself? Oh, you got to unmute.
Okay. Name's Harvey Weisberg. I've been modeling since I was 7. And I build anything that's in 1/72 scale, primarily armor and helicopters. But at one time I built one 600 scale ships and everything else. But now it's 1/72. And I'm still at it after all these years. So
Great.
Keep on modeling.
Thanks, Harvey. Amanda, why don't you go? You want to say a few words?
Okay. Well, I'm Amanda. 135th Armor, 172nd Aircraft, 1350 ships, some sci-fi, 132nd Aircraft, mostly Luftwaffe.
German armor?
Yeah. Modern Canadian, artillery, engineering.
Great. Andrew?
What, me?
Yeah, you.
Or the other Andrew?
You, Andrew. The
Oh,
pilot.
me.
Andrew.
Okay. Anyways, guys, thanks for inviting me tonight. Gee whiz, I was involved with IPMS Toronto back in the days in the late 70s, I think, with Derek Pennington and all the guys way back, and throughout the 80s and 90s a little bit. I've drifted off a little bit, and I was participating with the guys at Buzz Burling Model Club in Toronto. Very small group, only about I don't know, it was 6 to 10 guys. Unfortunately, 4 or 5 of them have passed away. Very small group, and it's sort of splintered a little bit for now. We're kind of quiet, obviously to do with COVID and that. But for myself, I was a big airliner guy for building airline models and stuff, but always interested in Battle of Britain, World War II. So the Spitfires are my thing now. Like, I'm into this Tamiya thing, and and some of the Zvezda airliner kits too. They're fantastic, and and that's about it, really. I hang around with Lorenzo Vitale, and he's a big World War II guy. I was hoping he'd be on tonight, but I guess he hasn't been able to. So, but anyways, I appreciate having the invite here, and I think that this is an awesome opportunity, whether it's just IPMS Toronto or across Canada, and inviting everybody to come on board for an hour, see people, do stuff, like, because times are different, man. Like, I don't know, like I go to work once a month, and that's it, really. Family, renovations, well, when there's material available. So, but anyways, thanks for having me on board. Yeah.
Garvin, you want to say a few words?
Sure. The name's Garvin. I build almost anything. So my specialty is helicopters. So I think that's about it for now.
Sarah Hay, you want to say anything? No? You good? Richard.
Hey, there's Kerry.
Yeah, Kerry just joined us. We'll give him an intro in a moment. Richard, you want to say a few words?
Sure. My name's Richard Sage. Like everybody else, I built models when I was a kid. It's late 50s into the 60s. Sex, drugs, women, rock and roll, it all intervened. I got back into it when I retired a few years ago, mostly 172nd, mostly aircraft armor. Those of you who have seen me the last couple of years, excuse me, it's mostly things I bought back in the 60s. They come in bags with little fold over instructions that were stapled. And I tried not to invest in more modern stuff because I've got over 100 old things that I try to do whatever I can with to make them look a little bit better than perhaps they might have been when I built them at 12 or 10. And that's pretty much it.
Great. Ivan, are you there? Do you want to say anything?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Ivan, and besides Matt, I'm the other Gundam guy at IPMS Toronto, because that's what I started with. I think 2003 I bought my first tiny plastic robot, and it kind of just snowballed since then. I've tried to expand into
Ivan.
pretty
Alex.
much every other. I've tried to expand into pretty much every other.
You do a bit of the Ivan. You do a bit of those spaceships too, right?
Oh yeah, I tried to do a bit of everything because I think there is something to learn from pretty much every branch of modeling, and it's all like transferable skills, and I just like making stuff, and I want to keep doing that.
Great, thanks. Alex, do you want to say a few words? Are you there?
Sure. Yeah, I'm here. I build everything. Most like my favorite ones are Formula One and science fiction. According to ScaleMates, I have over 100 started projects. I also scratch build stuff. I do props. I do robots. And so, yes, that's basically it.
This sounds like one of those addiction counseling things. Like I've got like 100, and I've been rolling for 50 years, and Okay, have I missed anybody before we move on to Carrie? Is it all
What I
right?
really, Robert, is the fact, what I really miss, Robert, is having you photograph our stuff on the tables. Because frankly, you do such a beautiful job. It makes my crap work look good.
Thank you very much.
Robert also does the video for the shows. He scans all the tables, right? So it's as if, you know, if you can't make the show, Robert actually shows you what was on the table.
Yeah. It's a family show. All right. If I haven't missed anybody, Carrie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Kerry Trainer. I am the chapter and member liaison for IPMS Canada. I'm also a longtime member of IPMS London. Prior to London, I lived in Ottawa and was a member of IPMS Ottawa. And prior to Ottawa, I lived in Calgary and I was a member of IPMS Calgary. Been modeling for a very long time. Fortunately, due to retirement and what everybody is experiencing these days, COVID, my modeling completion rate has jumped dramatically. So I build mostly 1/48 scale. I would consider it at one time post-war aircraft, but these days I seem to be building Spitfires and 109s and 262s for various one-year competitions and such. And currently I have the Tamiya Sky Raider ready to prime, and I'm also working on a Leopard C2.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Which is coming along nicely as well.
Great, great. So now
thank you, by the way, thank you for the invite tonight. It was much appreciated. My apologies for the delay. I was a little confused as to how to get on to the meeting, and
no worries.
I got straightened out there.
Well, thank you for joining us. And just so you guys know, we're going to do the usual show and tell. And Carrie wanted to jump onto this meeting to have an opportunity to basically go over some new documents and new things from IPMS Canada to all of us. Carrie, we've got a couple of people from across Canada, but what I see is mostly in the GTA. We've got our East Coasters in the Maritime, St. John's, but I don't see anybody from Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, or BC, but the invite did go out to them. But we're here. So as a matter of consensus, you guys want to do this, since we're on intros, should we do how did you get, Eric, for show and tell? Did you get a lot?
Looks like we got about 7.
Why don't we do that, and then we'll go, and then we'll give the table to Carrie. Is that okay?
Works for me.
Sure.
Okay. So
right.
yeah, fire it up, Eric. This is our show and tell, so whoever wants to go, whatever comes up, Eric, go ahead.
All right, David, you want to give me the hosting? There we go.
Fresh-faced youngster.
All right.
Hey, Matt, you still think I'm a genius?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Make 15 or 17? What is it?
It's a 17, actually. As I mentioned, I've just started building again, and by chance, mine was the first one up here. So yeah, I've got it. Last time I showed this, I checked. It was in April, and it was just flat black at that point. So past couple weekends, I've had a bit of time. I put some paint on it. We got the it'll be in East German markings,
nice.
Top, bottom, my usual techniques of the black basing, and then going back with lots of other variations of the base colors to try to bring out a little bit of surface detail. As of today, I had a few minutes and I got it gloss coated, and it's got all of like 10 decals, I think. So that was easy enough to do between meetings. Yeah, so that's where I am right now. This is the Hobby Boss kit 148. Details not great on it, but you know what? It's a fun one to try to get back in, to get my mojo going again for the winter. And
are those markings with a kit, Eric?
They are and aren't. Like the 905 was in the kit. Their actual national insignia was terrible. It was like the colors were all off. It was actually it was squished a little bit. It wasn't the right sizing. So I pulled those from my spares box. I had those from, I think they're from a MiG-21 or something.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you. All right, up next is and Matt, I'm going to go through the models and then we'll come back to your product.
Oh yeah, whenever, or we can do, yeah, for sure.
All right.
Mine, Paul.
Yeah, this one's yours, Paul.
Yeah, so this is a Hellcat, it's an Airfix. So they had this, aircraft of the Aces, basically just reboxed Airfix kit with different decals. And Hellcat describes pretty well how it goes together. The wings, the wings are, you could have them folded, but there's no detail inside the wings. And having them unfolded, they don't really fit too well. But it's a work in progress. It's straight out of the box build. I have a Corsair kit I'm going to build. It's the same cars. I'm going to build them together. And I'm glad I started with this one because the other one's an Italeri kit. It probably fits together better, I'm hoping, than this one.
Sounds good.
Very good.
Up next,
This is
Ooh. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's still working on this. It's a funny car kit. So I wanted to get it kind of spray painted before it's too cold to do it outside. And so it had chrome bumpers. That's the part I'm kind of struggling with, trying to get the chrome right on the bumpers. I decided, you don't want to gloss coat it after you put the chrome on because that'll dull the chrome. And the decals are the white's a little translucent. If you're going to do this for a contest, I think you'd want to actually spray paint or, mask the white and maybe put the decals on top because they're a little translucent. But that's okay. It's not for a contest. So it
looks great.
A fun build in.
All right, good stuff. Next up, here's Matt's. We'll come back to that. Stuart.
This is mine. I'm not sure how many of the pictures you put in, but this is one, I guess, of several. Okay, well, that's the Wesp. This is the older Tamiya kit. So I did it in the, the German gray. Just going through it, just added the weathering on the bottom. Next, I got to do the weathering on the top. The inside, what I tried to get here, which didn't work on this photo or the next, I think, is some of the weathering that I did inside. You can see some of it's great, but my picture taking wasn't very good on this one. Go on the next. Oh, and there's I put somebody in. I don't know why his face turned out so white, because it's not white and it's more pink. But I guess the flash or whatever. But that's just some of my weathering skills that I'm trying to do. Get it in for a Russian set. This is the other Tamiya kit. This is the one that was issued for Italy. Basically, it's exactly the same kit. The only difference is that when I'm putting on the tracks, they do have track sag. The other one was a rubber track. So this one shows the weathering a little bit better, and I've opened up some of the boxes where you can see some of the ammo shells and some of the weathering I put on some of the areas and so on. And the next one, again, on the other side with the radio, and that's one side where I tried to do some of the weathering on scratching on the outside from the hairspray technique. And is that it?
Oh, no.
No, and that's also, I guess, the interior. Just again, focusing on some of the weathering on the interior.
Beautiful.
Great.
Harvey, over to you.
This is a 148th Caproni CA-133T for transport at the Battle of Britain. It's by a company called Eva Models. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I never heard of them. I saw them on, I think it was on Facebook, and I emailed the guy. He says, "What do you got?" And he says, "Well, I'll get this new one." And this thing's probably, it probably cost them a lot to ship it because it's heavy. It's 148, so the whole thing outside of the fuselage, because the fuselage obviously is hollow, the wings are solid resin. And because it's resin, it was an incredibly hard kit to do. The struts were useless, so all of those struts, and there's about close to, believe it or not, there's close to 30 struts on this thing that I had to scratch build and put them in and pin them. Because see, the engines are literally floating on a bunch of struts. I just figured I want to try something different. The canopy needed to be redone entirely from clear acetate, so it was a hard build. But during COVID, because I'm working at home, this thing it took me only 3 months, which is nothing for me because it was complex. The company it went up and it went down. There's a thing on their website because people ask me where I got it. They're not in business anymore. They stopped producing. So I don't know if I got one of a handful of these models. They're not cheap, but I managed to get one. And would I do another one? No. But is it a different kind of aircraft? Yeah. So it was a fun build. The modeling was took a long time. That's probably what took the most time. And yeah, it's by hand. And it was had to resort to I'm a 1/72nd guy, but the 1/48th pattern here needed to be tight, so I literally had to go down to about 5 psi. It was really low pressure with ultra thin paint, so that's the only way that I could get that stuff to lie without any overspray. But in the end, yeah, I'm happy with it. It's got a few microscopic alignment problems because it's not a Tamiya kit by any matter. That top section above the cockpit, I have no idea what those are. They look like pipes of some kind. I had to scratch build those. And I put new engines in. So, and the cockpit and the interior are also scratch built. Was it fun? Yeah. Again, would I do another one? No. Is that the last picture, Eric?
Oh, I think
Yeah,
that's
these are Battle of Britain markings. These markings, by the way, modern markings, I don't know who did them, but I almost had a heart attack because there was no other markings available for this kit. And when I put these on, they started to crack. And I luckily got them aligned with some Solvaset because there was no other markings available in this unit marking. So that was a bit of a heart attack, but once it's all in, it's done, and it looks the part. Whoa, nice. Who did this?
this one. Yeah, this was sent in by an anonymous donor who wanted to send his pumpkin
Wow.
work in.
Damn!
I didn't do that.
Live on the air, so yeah, there's a couple shots of it, and then
Wow.
That's sick.
Yeah,
You know who did that?
I know who did it, but I'm not allowed. I'm not at liberty to disclose.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean you?
No, I didn't do it. Nope.
Okay. All right.
Nope, not me. And I just wanted to show Glenn sent over a link to
Oh, nice, Glenn.
albums of his work. There's a lot of pictures in here, so I'm not going to go through them step by step, but I will drop the link into the chat so you guys can go and take a look at your leisure later on. But Glenn, if you just wanted to talk briefly about the two kits here.
Sure. I saw this kit on Andy's hobby headquarters, and when I saw him put it together, I thought I have to have this thing. It's the latest and greatest flagship from Honda, and now the Tamiya kits are just fabulous. The detail is just getting better and better and better. And I kind of went to town with this because I'm a former road racer and I have my own track bike. So I wanted to make this into something that somebody would bring to a track day. You know, you take off all the lights, you put on different bodywork, you change things around, you safety wire the whole thing, you put on different exhaust. So I wanted to replicate that, and unfortunately it involves a lot of scratch building. The good thing is I have a race bike that's sitting in my garage, so I get to take, you know, lots of pictures and mimic things after that. So it's not going to be the clean and pristine showroom model that a lot of people are building these days, but it will be something that you would realistically see on any racetrack around the world.
That's fabulous. Yeah, I'm following this on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, guys, you should link up with Glenn. That's great.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Wow.
So many pictures here. So yeah, good. I'll post the link. You can go through at your.
Actually, the most fun that people have with these things is painting the exhausts. They're just so much to do. And this is the one I told you, Harvey, that I got tired of working on the motorcycle, so I switched over to this. In March, we have a theme contest for our club, IPMS Ottawa, that is France, and we choose a new theme each year. So I got this absolute piece of junk kit from RPM, and I thought, wow, this is cool. I must build it. So it's an old FT-17 tank made by Renault, and they put a smoking system on it to create smoke screens across the battlefield. So I looked at, yeah, that's the actual color of the plastic from RPM, and just about had a visual heart attack when I saw this thing, and the parts are fairly crude. So I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll use what I can. And so I went out and I got the Meng kit for the base kit, and it's absolutely fabulous to work with. So there's a lot of scratch building. There's not a lot of pictures available anywhere on the internet for how this thing goes together. I found one blog site for a guy who built it. So I'm just taking what he had and just trying to re-engineer it and, you know, make stuff that kind of looks convincing, but might not work at all, but that's fine.
Looks great. Absolutely great.
Really cool. All right.
Hey, Eric, check your inbox.
Oh, you're doing that to me again. Well, I'm going to hit, while I go check there, I'm going to let, here we go. A tool review. Why don't you go ahead, Matt?
So actually, Vince started all this on Friday. He emailed me or messaged me a video demonstration of this Racer Plus that's from gunprimer.com. It's a Korean company, and they're basically doing the time-honored and time-tested trick of taking a known and cheap tool and slapping a modeling tool and jacking up the price. So these are basically fancier versions of salon nail files. These are tempered glass files that have a very thin photo-etched metal surface, little dots and whatnot, that allow you to, at least in the salons, they buff and polish nails with them. What Gun Primer has done and what is different, most of the salon stuff is 600 to 800 grit, maybe even up to 1,000. And it really polishes plastic really, really well. These guys are saying that they have this super nanotechnology and they've made the grits a little stronger. So you have 400 and 220 grit. And apparently, when you use these things, you will basically erase the nub mark or the gate, and you will not damage the plastic. If we can go to the next, there's 5 slides. I'll try to be quick. So these are, so I've got three packages from Amazon, basically at $10 each. And the first one on the left, it's basically 4 of the, I was hoping they'd have different grits, but they're all exactly the same. The ones in the middle, I really like the feel of them because they have the same kind of plastic backing like the Gun Primer ones, and it fills your hand a little better. But the anyway, so they're actually, I think, the ones I like the most. And the ones on the edge, I'm pretty sure that the rounded one has a slightly different pattern, and it feels like it might be a more polishing thing, but I can't really tell. They might all be the exact same grit. So on to the next slide, please. Yeah, so I tried grabbing different parts and starting out with, I mean, basically just working on, and the salon files, because they're such high grit, you really gotta put in the work to get them down, get the nub down. And I left a slightly higher nub to actually try it out. There is a video on YouTube that you can also see if you go to gunprimer.com, where they show the Racer Plus just literally erasing. Like they have a huge nub sticking out, and in a matter of 4 or 5 seconds, they just wipe it right out. Though they never show you the surface of the part after the sanding. What I found, first of all, you have to, if you start changing direction or you stop suddenly, it might be a little hard to see. I don't know how well you can see it on the sort of final in the upper right. You can see that there's a little, it seems like a little gouge. And on later parts, actually, and the second from the right on the top, you can see that like 3 or 4 little like fingernail scratches. So that was stopping in the middle of the part. And the main thing is you have to keep the part and the file absolutely level with each other. The moment you start varying, or if your hand moves, it's going to start cutting into the edges, or just doing. It's not going to be all that great. What these things are absolutely amazing at, and these pictures don't do it justice. They turned the surface into a mirror. This is a pretty small part. This part is probably about 7 millimeters at the top. It's not very big. Even though the surface is not really that perfect, it still shines like crazy. It took a while for me to angle the camera so it wouldn't just, blow it out. I tried the what I called, they have the little leaf icon on them, and they worked a little better, and they left much more of a shine. Though if you can zoom in again, there was still, you can see on the bottom of those parts, there's this sort of striation, this weird little pattern. And I don't even know what that is. Maybe that's just the underlying plastic itself, but you can't feel it. You can't actually see it, but it does something weird. So I basically, afterwards, I just basically took a sponge at 4,000, took the shine off, and I don't know where there's on the bottom right corner of that piece, there's a little scratch, and I have no idea how that even got there, but these things polish like crazy. Anyway, next slide, please. So the one thing where they don't do so well, first of all, like I said, it takes a lot of work if you're using the salon ones. I basically just gave up, took a 400 grits wave stick, sanded down the part, and then tried to polish it with the 800. Basically went back to the glass one, and you can see. Well, I also screwed up and started standing at the sort of top edge over there, but you can see these gouges, and I think this is partially I think might be this is Bandai's new PS plastic. It's a little softer, and it really likes to scratch. And even with these polishing files, it did a lot of gouges. And you can see on the bottom there that file that I really liked with the plastic backing. After just a little bit of work, it popped off. But I'm sure if I wanted to put it back on, some CA glue, and it would work well. The one thing with them, because they're made for nails, some of them, and I can't tell, but especially this leaf one, might have slightly raised edges. And that's one of the things that could have been cutting in, as you see in the center of that piece. And the gun primer actually says that they bevel theirs, so this doesn't happen. Great. And the last slide, please. So so as I was basically saying, you don't want to change directions or stop while in the middle of the part. You also, if you're working on the bottom one, you can see how at the end there are these almost like jewel facets that basically, if you don't hold the file straight, and if you have any pieces that have concave parts, that they will really screw up the edges around, or the area around the nub. The one thing that also happens, because it polishes, and you can sort of see that at the middle top two, or especially the second from the left picture at the top, you have to polish the entire piece. Because you'll have two different textures: the regular plastic texture, and then the mirror shine around the nub where you polished. Mm-hmm. Though obviously you can just take a sponge and clean that up. But where it does absolutely shine, like the top left picture, that exposed nub, that I was able to take care of in 3 seconds. So it was actually great for that. So all in all, I don't know if I'd really recommend them. They're not anything super amazing or special. I may use them in the future, I may not. I'm still really actually curious about this gun primer stuff because of their heavier grit, and also the larger one, the 220 grit one. Because it has a larger surface, it may not have the cutting edge issues that I had with the much smaller files. So, and this is all happening because those are going on sale. They've been actually selling this stuff for a while, but there's a big sale tomorrow on their website. But there it is. I don't know if I'd highly recommend it, but I'm glad I tried it. I may use them in the future, but they're neat. There it is.
Thanks.